Hello everybody, it's crabedh here, and today we have an extremely good, extremely fun custom commander EDH deck tag. And that commander that was custom was made by Mark Mescadri. So thank you to Mark. And again, correct me if I'm saying your name wrong. I apologize in advance, and let's get into it. So Mark's commander was Hangar, Hunted Hunter, which is red, green, black for a legendary 0/4 human beast. And whenever a permanent you control is put into a graveyard from play, Hangar Hunted Hunter deals damage equal to its power to any target. Now what we want to do is we want to make Hangar's power very big, and then sacrifice a bunch of little artifact cantrips to smack our opponent's faces and their creatures. So let's get into it. For red, we've got Soul Ring, which costs 1 taps for 2 colorless mana. Charcoal Diamond enters tapped and taps for a black. Fire Diamond enters tapped and taps for a red. Gruul Signet, we can pay 1 and tap it to add red-green to our mana pool. Rakdos Signet, we can pay 1 and tap it to add black-red to our mana pool. And Golgari Signet, we can pay 1 and tap it to add black-green to our mana pool. Then we've got Rampant Growth, which searches our library for any basic and puts it into play tapped. Cultivate, which searches our library for any 2 basics and puts 1 into play and the other into our hand. Then we've got Harrow. As an additional cost to the spell, sacrifice a land and search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So this is great because Hangar will trigger when we sacrifice that land, because that land is a permanent card going to the graveyard. Then we have Commander Sphere, Hedron Archive, and Dreamstone Hedron. These 3 cards aren't ramp spells as much as they are artifacts that we can sacrifice to trigger with Hangar. So Commander Sphere taps for any of our colors, and we can sacrifice it to draw a card, which triggers Hangar. Hedron Archive taps for 2 colorless, and we can pay 2 and sack it to draw 2 cards. We're drawing 2 cards, and we get to trigger with Hangar. Dreamstone and Hedron, same thing, but we draw 3 cards, and we pay 3 mana, and it taps for 3 colorless. So, yeah. Then for creatures, we've got Jury, Master of the Review, which is black-red for a legendary 1/1 human shaman. Whenever we sacrifice a permanent, which is how we're going to be getting our permanents or towards graveyards, put a +1/+1 counter on Jury, and when Jury dies, it deals that much damage equal to Jury's power to any target. So when we sacrifice our creatures, Jury gets big, and then, like I said, there's a board wipe, we get to smack our opponent's face with Jury. It's pretty fun. Burnished Heart, we can pay 3 and second to search our library for 2 basics and put them into play tapped. So when we're sacrificing Burnished Heart, we get that trigger. Mayhem Devil, whenever we sacrifice a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. Playcrafter, when it enters, each player sacrifices our creature or player. Each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, and each player who can't discards a card. So we're triggering Hangar with all of this stuff. Threshing Bronodon, we can pay 1 second to destroy an artifact or enchantment. Again, triggering Hangar. Torbrim, Thane of Redfell, for red source you control, would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent. It deals that much damage plus 2 instead, so Hangar's trigger will do 2 more damage, and that really adds up throughout the game. Heartless Hitsugu, we can tap it to keep on having everybody's life total, which makes it very easy for us to take them out with all those direct damage from Hangar. Corvold, Faker's King, when it enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent. Whenever we sack a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Corvold and draw a card. So this is an unstoppable engine, especially in this deck. We sacrifice a permanent, we draw a card, use that card, play it, sacrifice that, draw a card. It's insane. It's crazy. And then we keep on just smacking our opponents. Corvold is one of the best cards in this deck. Then we have Mazarek, Crawl Death Priest. 2/2 with flying. Whenever a player sacrifices another permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, so he can get Hangar and our other creatures very big. Obosh the Prey Piercer is a source you control with an odd converted mana cost. Hangar does have an odd converted mana cost. It deals double damage, so that's pretty nice. And then we have Artifacts, which suspend 3 Lotus Blossom, sacrifice Lotus Blossom, add 3 mana of any color to our mana pool. So we can play this, have it suspend it, and when it's done suspending, then we can sack it, trigger Hangar, and we get a nice, fresh 3 mana. Pretty nice. Tormod's Crypt, this is good against graveyard decks. We can play it for free and sack it for free, which exiles all the cards from our opponent's graveyard, from target player's graveyard. So we get to shut down a graveyard deck, like a Muldrotha deck, and we also get to trigger Hangar. So that's pretty nice. Urza's Bubble, Tap it, sacrifice it, look at a random card from target player's hand, and then we draw a card at the beginning of the next upkeep, so it's a nice little cantrip, and we get to trigger Hangar. Basilisk Collar, equip 2, equip creature's Death Touch and lifelink, so when Hangar hits something, it'll immediately kill it, and also we gain the life that Hangar is dealing. Chromatic Sphere, we can pay 1 second to add 1 mana of any color and draw a card that triggers Hangar when it goes to the graveyard. Chromatic Star, same thing, we can pay 1 second, add 1 mana of any color and draw a card. Colossus Hammer, 1 mana, equip creature gets +10/+10, loses flying. Equip 8, we can equip this onto Hangar, it is a 10/13, dealing 10 damage to each opponent whenever we sacrifice something. It's insane. Conjure's Bauble, we tap it and sack it to put up to 1 target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library and draw a card that will trigger Hangar, and we get, let's call it a cantrip, so we're not losing or gaining any card advantage when we play this card, so it'll trigger Hangar, and we're not losing or gaining any card advantage. Implement of Combustion, we can pay a red and sack it to deal 1 damage to target player, and when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card, so again a cantrip that also triggers Hangar. Lifespark Spellbomb, we can pay 1 sack it to draw a card. Nihil Spellbomb, when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, we can pay a black if we do draw a card, and we can tap it and sacrifice it to exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Panic Spellbomb, tap it, target creature can't block this turn. And when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, we can pay a red if we do draw a card. Pyrite Spellbomb, we pay 1 second to draw a card. Turarian, we can pay 2 in a second to add 2 mana of any color to a mana pool, and when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Wanderer's Tag, we can sack it, search our library for a basic land, put it into our hand, and then shuffle. So again, it's not drawing a card, but it's getting a card. So it's pretty good. Alchemist Vial, we can pay 1 and sack it, target creature can attack or block this turn, and when it enters, we draw a card. Blackblade Reforged, equip creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Equip legendary creature 3, you can equip this on Hangar, and it'll get huge. Then his power will get huge, and that's the most important thing, because then we can smack on opponents. Everywhere Flask, when it comes into play, draw a card. Sacrifice it to make all our lands a certain basic land type, but the important thing is we can sacrifice it, and we can draw a card from it, so that's pretty nice. Golden Egg, when it enters, draw a card, and then we can sack it in various ways. Metal Spinner's Puzzle Lot, when it enters, we draw a card and lose a life, and we can pay 2 black and sacrifice it to draw another card and lose a life. Spare Supplies, it enters tapped. When it enters, we draw a card, and we can pay 2 and sack it to draw another card. So it can draw multiple cards with it, and it can be sacrificed, which triggers Hangar. Swiftfoot Boots, it protects Hangar. Equip 1, equip creature has hexproof and haste. Grafted Exoskeleton, insanely nasty card. Equip creature gets +2/+2 and has Infect, so we can equip this onto Hangar, and we only need to make to deal our opponents 10 damage worth of Hangar triggers to kill them. It's just insane. Grafted Exoskeleton is a very, very good card. Tania's General, at the beginning of your upkeep, investigate, so we can sacrifice those and trigger Hangar, or we can wait and tap Tania's General and sacrifice 3 clues to search our library for a card, any card, and put that card into our hands. We can tutor with this. It's a pretty good card in this deck. Then for enchantments, we've got Phyresis, which gives enchanted creature Infect, another very, very underrated card. This card is extremely underrated, in my opinion. And we enchant this onto Hangar. Again, same thing as Grafted Exoskeleton. Boar Umbra, enchanted creature gets +3/+3, and it has totem armor. So if Hangar gets destroyed by removal or board wipe, then the Boar Umbra will be destroyed instead, and it just pumps up Hangar's power. Furnace of Wrath, it doubles the damage from everywhere, so it's kind of chaotic, but mainly benefits us because Hangar deals direct damage. Mantle of the Wolf, equip creature gets +4/+4, its amount of power, and when it's put when Mantle of the Wolf dies, create 2/2 green wolf creature tokens. Bitter Feud, when it enters battlefield, choose 2 target players. If a source controlled by one of those players would deal damage to the other chosen player, then it deals double that damage. So we can choose us and the best player, or the player who's the most ahead, and then it'll be easier to take them out. Then we've got Dictate of the Twin Gods. If a source would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage. So same case with Furnace of Wrath. Gratuitous Violence. If a creature you control did damage to a creature player, it deals double that damage instead, so more damage. Epic Proportions, giving enchanted creature +5/+5 and trample. Then we've got Fiery Emancipation. If a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage to that permanent or player instead. Triple that damage. Insane. Prodigious Growth. Enchanted creature gets +7/+7 and has trample. Worm Weaver Coil. Enchanted creature gets +6/+6, and we can pay 3 in a second to make a 6/6 worm. But more importantly, that +6/+6, which is 6 damage. Then we have another insane card in this deck, Classification. 5 green for an enchanted creature. 1 classification. Classification enters the battlefield. Tap enchanted creature, and enchanted creature gets +20/+20. +20/+20. That's 20 damage. In a 40 life game of Commander, Hangar only has to hit our opponents twice with this card to kill them. It's nasty. Then we've got Eldrazi Constriction, 8 mana for an enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +10/+10 and trample and Annihilator too. Not only does this make Hangar a very annoying for opponents, very annoying Eldrazi threat, but also gives him power +10. So it's insane. Then for spells, we've got Scrap Mastery, which swaps our artifacts in play to our artifacts in graveyard. So when we sacrifice all our little cantrips, we can play Scrap Mastery and get them all back and then re-sacrifice them. So it can really trigger Hangar a lot. Wrath's Bounty, for each land you control, create a colorless treasure artifact token, which has tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 4 mana of any Hangar to mana pool. So when we sacrifice the treasures, we are also they are technically going into the graveyard, so that will trigger Hangar, and we can get a lot of Hangar triggers from that. Then our mana base, we've got Savage Lands, which taps for any of our colors. Then we've got Overrun Tomb, which enters tapped unless we pay 2 life. Stomping Ground enters tapped unless we pay 2 life. And Blood Crypt, which enters tapped unless we pay 2 life. Luxury Suite enters tapped unless we have 2 or more opponents. Pretty nice. That's a pretty nice. I love that art. I just love the feel of this card. Rootbound Crag enters tapped unless we control a mountain or a forest. Woodland Cemetery enters tapped unless we control a swamp or forest. And don't forget to subscribe, everybody. And the rest are basics. So, yeah. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share. It's not too late to comment down your own custom commander. And I will see you next time.